Good morning, or whatever it is, wherever you are. So, apparently I broke my login link here. Authorize URL. I think I did kind of refactor some things. Oh, yeah, just, well, status text is connected status login link. Oh, hey, how about we return this, huh? There we go. And then we cycle through a login. Oh, okay, it was already had the OAuth. I need that for the OAuth loop. Did I already open? I didn't open another one. Okay, so that was a little thing there. And I think that was, oh, actually, one other thing that I thought of is that there's like nothing in this interface that triggers chat interaction, so I'm going to put a post button in there. And then I want to see about, I've kind of got my option and my calculation stuff scattered around. Right now it's kind of in the calculator component. I want to see if I can make a module that is just the calculation, and that can kind of be shared between this stuff more easily. But I actually need to open the other window for source control. Nope, that's commit. I want to do a quick thing here. All right, so we're in chatbot. So this is actually, well, this is called status text, but it would be when we are, no, actually it's default status. All right, logged in and then connected. Now this is going to make things a bit more interesting here, because we're also going to have, oh, and 39 link. Thank you for the follow. It might have been last night, I'm not sure. Okay, so we're report current settings. So actually, would that just be click equals, or am I forgetting how this works? Apparently I'm forgetting how this works. Click. Okay, so for like bitrate control, how are we doing binding? No, value equals changed bit rate. Oh, that's right. The React site doesn't like the high contrast. Tab index class, class name. That doesn't help. Oh, it's on click. Yeah, it's the click event. But the attribute was on click. That's right. Oh, and furthermore, because it's setting a property, there we go. Oh, I also want to, at some point, look into seeing if there's some adjustments I can do in the math here. You know what? I need to get a to-do list for this thing. So right now we have no, well, that would be base level project. We have no README, we have no anything. And I probably, that's probably another good thing to do. Man, I'm just so all over the place today. All right, get status, get diff, get commit. So actually this wasn't, well, I mean, it's kind of a proof of concept of, well, if I wanted this thing to trigger it, I could have had a button that passed something down here, I guess. It's not really interaction, though. So I need a to-do list. Well, I need a calculator. Programming exercise to learn some React and modern JavaScript. Provides a calculator for stream settings used with software like OBS, and services like Twitch, which we've got a bit here. So let's see, we started with, React, I think we had to add a little bit of Babel to be able to compile JSX. To-do list includes, as an exercise, also we've done some ES6, and to-do list includes Redux and Webpack, which would also be part of a, like a to-do list, but I tend to keep that as more of a separate document than as a README. Technologies. Let's see. Since this application does not require API interaction, it currently implements a Twitch chat bot that can also perform the calculations from chat commands. In order to support, in order to have an asynchronous interaction. Although it tends to be more chat response, but it's like an event coming in. So that's the README. Our to-do list is also Redux Webpack. And often I just have like a notes. So we've got that. We've got extract calculator. Was I thinking of something else? Oh, and this is more of an as time allows. Isn't quite right. E.g. Uh, 1080p 3500 doesn't have the artifacting its BPP suggests. So I think that there's like more of like a bits per inch, square inch thing kind of coming on. But I saw that. Nope, 30. And I saw another stream. Oh. It was at 1080p 64,000. So, I mean, if we do 3,500, I mean, it's like 0.5. If we do 4,060, and it seemed fine to me, there's clearly something else going on here. Git add readme. Oh, and this has ended up in source. We don't want it in source. And I want it to be notes generally. All right. So right now we've got, and I have to come up with, and have the naming is hard problem because we have the bitrate calculator component, which maybe that's why you see React apps that have a components directory. I had the model view controller thing in Rails apps, and after a while it starts to feel really awkward when you want to like put related things together, even though models using controllers aren't necessarily one-to-one. You do sometimes want to kind of stick related features together with each other. So the calculation happens in bitrate calculator right now. The settings have been distributed amongst the various custom controls, which, without having their setting lists, have a little bit less reason to exist. But there is still some like custom parsing and importing. So source, this is not a JSX necessarily. So bitrate calculator is currently the control that creates the DOM of all this stuff. We could rename that to like calculator control, which maybe at some point would drive you to create like a controls directory. I guess in an application, this would be sort of like a service. It might be that like Redux or something has a specific idea for what a service interface is like. So I guess for now, we just call it a calculator. What? Okay, I don't know what I did there. So bitrate calculator. It's gonna need this stuff. It's going to have. It's gonna have this. And you are exported const. This is sort of needed for the control. It's probably fine to put that in there. So now you're going to have to end up import resolution options. And I'm still don't know the syntax well yet. From that's going to mess up our other import-export stuff because it won't necessarily be exported from here. So I'm going to have to come back and fix you in a bit. Frame rate control. The calc no, I do need this for doing the resolution frame rate trade-off table. So you're going to move here. And resolution options. So this is actually something we could theoretically test with here. Now, I may have also had to pull those in the chat bot. Yeah. All right, our compiler has not cried about anything. Okay. Seems to be okay so far. Oh, that's right, we're doing use strict for all this stuff. So bitrate calculator right now has the prepare pixels per second table. And video options is needed in calculate resolution and calculate frame rate. And this says right now it's like, and then optimize for different targets. This is a state. Now none of these need to be exported before. At least optimize will need to be exported. I'm not sure about the rest. Now, I'm not sure that target should be part of the settings object here. Oh, here's another thing. This is specifically returning the React state update setting. So I might actually want to pull optimize out. Well, I think even the chat bot would want to use something like this to get fully updated settings. You just have to be updating objects yourself. So maybe I actually leave this one out for the time being. And calculator, so then we need to export this. Yep. And this, and this. Calculate all the different directions. I don't think that we need video options and prepare pixels per second in public interface. And then bitrate calculator. Is it just star? Oh, doesn't like something else here. Yep, and that is it. So ES6 import syntax. Import star as name, import default export. Import module name. Resolution options. Okay, so What does import module name even do then? All right, so if you want to get these as readily available names, and actually I probably shouldn't. Probably as name is fine. And then we've got resolution options. And is that the only one? Resolution options and frame rate you didn't need. Okay, that is a syntax. Oh, probably need the from now. Again. Calculate BPP. So we had these more than once. Oh, for our bootstrap. Okay. Ooh, that's not doing something. That's not doing something. Oh, I'm at 0. And a lot of room to work with there. All right, calculator. Now, I think, was I calling this state? I was not calling this state. Oh, I was blowing out the specific fields. Okay. So that is enough. So if chatbot, now before it had to do this whole asynchronous thing. That was kind of, to get an answer. Set timeout, report current settings. Yeah, because we're using props. But if we asked for this, yeah, props.onChange settings, but this is settings. But we're also doing settings.target. So I would have to repeat that switch. So the question is, do we want to maintain target as a field of the properties passed to the calculator? Or should the target be like a separate parameter? Because we've got like, bitrate, resolution, frame rate, bits per pixel is all of these properties of the context that we're working with, or the calculation context. Well, and then what does it return? So a bitrate calculator as a module in and of itself would take a set of settings and a target and update the setting that was the target. And the complication with this for React is that setState wants a partial. Well, as long as it's ordering events, it's fine. Any previous properties that we sort of double set shouldn't be bothered. I mean, I could see, depending on how it does its update function, you could actually overwrite some value changes. But to make the calculator itself, well, you could have the calculator work in a similar fashion to React, where it returns the update with the expectation that you will do the object assign to do an incremental update if you are not. Passing it to React or whatever. But for the application of the chatbot responding to a request to calculate a particular value, well, I guess for the chatbot, if it's responding to a request for a particular value, you'd almost want it to just respond with only the calculated value. In which case, it is a different thing that isn't necessarily an all-in-one. So it looks a lot like this. It could call this and then just pull out the appropriate field. So this actually makes report current settings different than what we do here. Now, this is saying settings.target. So actually, this becomes a little bit different. This becomes a little bit different. So instead of saying all this stuff, this.client.say, we say if our target is bitrate, this.client.say, so this is bitrate, so we would be saying so this could we're actually doing the calculation here. We could actually pass that in the properties. But the calculator is going to do it anyway. Calc, which we have to actually do these imports. Calculate bitrate. Settings. And actually this is... Was it? Didn't report settings have a... Oh, this .props.channel for one. Oh, it's backtick, that's right. However, this is a response, so it can just say target. Hit caps lock. And then this is bitrate, so it is kbps. And then we're going to have to import resolution options. I don't think we cared about frame rate options now. All right, so this is a target calculative bitrate. I think it was just calc. So right now we are doing and did I allow If it's times, yeah, I allowed the P form, so 1080p, well, we're doing 15 right now. We'd like at least 0.1. Okay, and we've got both of them going off right now. Oh, so that actually is a little bit under the... Right, because this is actually running at slightly lower quality. So that actually set everything up here. Although it didn't reset bits per pixel for some reason. But if we switch this around to... it's arguably lower, but it should be low motion scene. So it should be fine-ish. And actually, it seems like the bitrate has been running lower than expected. I don't know if it's max. I know 6,000 is kind of the max recommended bitrate. If you look at their recommended settings, 1080-60 is the highest they recommend going to. I don't know if there's an actual cutoff. I don't get transcoding, so I'm not going anywhere near this anyway. Or at least I don't expect to get transcoding. I guess I could get lucky someday. All right. So resolution. Ooh, okay. So this we actually have to... well, I mean, it is const. Calculate resolution settings. Then we can say res.width by res.height. And these should be safer to just do out. Okay, this is another resolution. Wait. Oops, we never tested this one. Oops. So we'll call it frame rate in this one. And then bits per pixel. Oh, I've got my unit. And then it's bits per pixel. Calculate bits per pixel. Oh, this is going to be a float value. Is it too fixed? All right, so we did that one before. So the other one was resolution. So we do calc 15, 2500, 0.1. It's going to tell me, ooh. Uh-oh. Keckle. Oh, no, we, cackle. Or did you just fail to compile? Import. This has to be an old error. Oh, okay, sure. So it says 6. Oh, right, because it's actually point. Here's another. Yeah, it must have been auto completing it. Cackle. Cackling at me. Oh, did I ever remove? I don't think I did. I copied all that code in there. I guess I did. Okay, because that's actually slightly less quality. And then if we calculate, to recognize it as a resolution, I'd actually need, get out of here so I can see the options. 1920. 1080, if we're doing 2500, 0.1. I think it's actually 10. We did bit rate, so bits per pixel. Yeah, that calculates as 0.8. Okay, cool. And then I don't need the asynchronous bit. Should have actually removed it already. Because we are responding with direct answers. And then that is not reusing the optimize thing. Oh, it is here. How? I must have gotten to the wrong file. When I was searching for that. So then optimize is in calculator, which actually does have target in the state. Calculator does not care about that property. All right, it's down one. Notes. So we've extracted the calculator. And we still got a decent amount of time. Now, one thing I might want to do. What I might do as a separate step is actually have the bitrate calculator have like a calculator settings object below it. Well, how does that work in React updates then? Well, then it would be doing wholesale replacement of that property. That's something, yeah. How does React work with nested properties? And that might be relevant for Redux as well. Extract. So React set state. A nested property. Nested properties. State some property flag. This dot state dot some property. Some property flag, set state, some property dummy object. Highly nested. Well, the spread is an interesting way to do it. Mutability helper. Some property, yeah. Yeah. So if I was going to do that as a sub-object, I would want to think of the calculator state as its own thing that you kind of set wholesale. Then that would be a single property. Well, you would pass this calculator state down to the chatbot as one property instead of several, which is probably fine. You would probably pass individual values to the individual controls. And then they would report their new values, which you'd have to kind of interpret and update. I think we're already doing a bit of. Bitrate calculator. We abstracted that because it was abstractable at that point. Well, this becomes, each of these would have to update a particular property in the state and then set state that. I might stick with this format for now, just because this is a little bit more typical in terms of like first level properties of controls. In terms of how a translation to Redux would look. So that in general, don't need that. Don't think we need that. Don't think we need that. We are moving on. Directing to React. React Redux. Official React bindings. So Redux is not a React library itself. So what is Redux by itself? I did not realize it was a thing we could do by ourselves. Well, no, because React is a view layer. It's just you always hear about them together. Much as the Elm architecture tends to render to HTML, but really it's just an event model. Yep, so counter state action, return state. Store is create store. Subscribe, dispatch, get state. Store.subscribe to console log. Dispatch, increment, increment, decrement. Examples. And I think this is largely based on the Elm architecture, so I don't think there's going to be too big a surprise for me here. Server responses, cache data. Mixing two concepts, mutation and asynchronicity. Mentos and Coke. View layer by removing both asynchronicity and direct DOM manipulation. Okay. Oh, of these other libraries. Core concepts. So state is plain object, which is your model. Apparently, yeah, because we don't have tagged. Is it tagged unions? Custom types, what Elm calls them. So we've got a type field and properties. Or maybe type is just conventional, I'm not sure. And then our reducers might be the React unique little bit of it. And Lenny, thank you for the follow. Glad you like watching me read documentation. Forcing every change described as an action. Just a function that takes state and action. So state action. So that's the state action is a reducer. Okay. Visibility filter, to-dos. I don't see them being used together currently. Oh, the complete state of our app. Okay, so this is nested. To-dos does that with its state. State.todos, action. Okay, so these are using the same actions, but the substates, which is easier to do in a React environment as long as you don't have name collisions in your types. Oh, also, things I might want to look into. I don't know if it's on the project I'm working on, but that is something. Oh, so the reducers is different from the principals. The state of your application is stored in the object tree within a single store. Okay, so we've got the store. State is read-only. Changes emit an action. Changes are made with pure functions, which are the reducers. Prior art. Oh, and there's any relation to Flux. Stores in Flux, reducers in Redux. They have the concept of a dispatcher. Pure function of event emitters. Yep, Elm. Immutable. So it's it could be a thing to look into. I don't know if it's a mutable API. There's a little benefit in using them together. Data with cursors. Asynchronous apps. A Redux store is an oh, okay, so make that an observable thing. Okay, so what does React Redux specifically do? Also need to install Redux and set up a Redux store. React Redux provides the provider a Redux store available to the rest of the app. Store equals store app. Store from store. Connect your components to the store. Map state to props. Counter state.counter. Map dispatch to props. So connect from action creators. It's a very conventional way to do this. I'm trying to do this without npm install again. I might want to get there, but I don't know. Just don't want to go there right away. So probably dist? I probably, that's the other thing I should do. Well, but I've got the development thing on there. And this is essentially dev, not min. Maybe I just work with dev and count on... That might actually be another thing to do. Can we actually get this? Out of here. Now, if we're going to eventually play with something else, the Webpack or something. So public index. So we're not going to have these just available. Oh, I haven't dealt with TMI. I think that, I'm not sure that's set up as a module. We'll have to check on that. So all the React stuff. Is it, so if it went in as React component, this would be import from React. There's probably going to be a number of compiler errors at this point. Import. That seems old. Global is undefined. React.js. So is that not an importable module? Window global. Oh, you know what? I probably need to have... yeah, maybe we're getting some kind of reference to it. Oh, you know what? Oh, that was the bitrate control, I bet, yeah. So this is where this gets a little bit annoying, because it is just kind of a thing we need everywhere. App is also a component. Bitrate calculator has a React component. Chatbot is a component. I don't know if it should be a component. Maybe as we get into other kinds of models here, I could find some other way to handle that. We've got resolution control. Got frame rate control. We've got bit per pixel control. That's that same old error. It's not really telling us where... Now, this is suggesting that Babel's compiling it just fine. Type of exports equals object. So, it doesn't tell us which file. Well, the file is going to be app, right? App.js. Huh. So it's still doing straight up imports. Is it even compiling this? Public, how about frame rate control? That actually has JSX in it. Oh, yep, it's doing the JSX. Maybe I have to configure Babel to do more. All right, so React Bootstrap. Global and exports. So this is script sourcing it. React is not defined. This is Webpack. Define plugin. Yeah, it's Webpack specific. Google is not defined. React Native. React Hot Loader. Webpack. Oh, actually, this is probably React DOM. Is component React DOM or React? Before they were just required, so they could just go. What does return React, React 3, React 2? Default React. Var React equals. And React DOM. Is it React.dom? React DOM. Oh. React DOM. Global.react DOM equals if global. Now, I thought that these UMD modules worked with import. Or maybe you got confused because the files moved? Successfully compiled 11 files. Well, global is undefined. How do you not have a global? And yeah, Windows there. I thought, oh, because we're in strict mode. Yeah, this is source. Probably because we're in strict mode. Do you need a different React without the UMD wrapper to use? So this is an import. Import JavaScript. RxJS. If exports is object and module equal define module.exports equals factory. Global.react equals factory. Define.amd, define factory or global react. If define equals functional, define shouldn't be a function. This is part of the module standard. Well, you are sourcing it just normally. Oh, there's a Babel issue. Import foo from foo. Well, it's a specific name. Or is the better format of this just import React? Now, we've got a bunch of imports that we have to fix up every time we do this. Import not found default. And then I also have to figure out which one. So React has component. So then where do I need to load React DOM for the JSX compiler? React.createElement, React.createElement, React.createElement. I might have to take, like, say, app. React DOM. Nope, global is undefined. Can you, like, import that? Nope, 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 nope. It's already been declared. Document.createElement. I wanted to know where createElement was defined. Well, React has a createElement. So what the heck is React DOM then? Plus web, yeah, maybe I need Webpack for this. Wait, that didn't work before, did it? Sorry, oh, I'm already in here. Import It didn't complain. Error resolving modular specifier. Import not found default. So that's something about the other module lookup method, apparently. Extends component. I guess that would just be importing component. Import not, yeah. So, what the heck are we doing here? We're doing something else. Import UMD problems. So what the heck is going on? That's Webpack. We're not in Webpack yet. So we're basically relying on ES6 import. React, yes, this is like a Webpack style thing. Allowed synthetic default imports. This is a compiler thing? Import star as React. Now this is just saying, well, it's quoted React. Export default. Valid does not use modules that can't specify default export. Using an ES6 import to get a common JS module is named modules.export. Babel thing. Import stars React from React is okay. And then we've kind of already determined that the browser import does not error resolving module specifier. So you can't actually use... Right, because I've been following the React sample code, I've been doing this ES6 style exports. So with UMD style React, I actually can't directly depend on them. And that's probably going to apply to Redux as well. So that reset that. Now, I don't think I had the public files checked in. Oh, I guess I did have them checked in. Okay, so that's back to normal. And then we are back to... trying to convert to Redux. Okay, so we had... did this... Did I already put this in here? No. Downloads. So this, we presume, is the same style of module, so you can't... So you can't use import with a plain old JavaScript file. We're going to have to once again go back to buffer index. And get Redux. And then somewhere... Alright, I probably have a bunch of stuff open now. UMD, import, React Global. There's Redux dev tools as well, which probably mean restarting the browser. Unfortunately, I'm in a private session here, so I'm not sure how that works. Oh, this is not an extension. Installation and configuration. Ah, okay. So I don't know if that will be on immediately. So React Redux. We have to install it. And here's our little DevTools thing. Yeah, there's a React DOM render. A render function. Create store, reducer, apply middleware. Where's render then? I guess render is this module. Store equals store. Store is that. Document get element root, provider apps. This is a React Redux thing. Provider from React Redux. Create store from Redux. Oh, render is React DOM. I guess I want to know what React Redux is doing for me. How big of a project is this? It's got folders. Source. All right, we've got index, provider, context advanced, components context, connect, set batch, unstable batched updates. Prints a warning. Shallow equal subscription. Component. So this is like kind of component connection stuff. Now this is component connection. Well, I've got components now. I think this might also get used sometimes in more of a pure functional style Elm-wise. Class subscription. Component did update. Oh, and then context provider is what it renders. React Redux context. Oh, is a React create context. But it was like a React Redux context from context. What's just straight up context? Oh, this is that props.context or React Redux context. So that has a provider. So provider is a React thing apparently. Connect advanced. Shallow equal warning. I'm going to end up having to look at what's relevant to me. Maybe I do need a provider. I don't know. How else do I bootstrap Redux into this? So Redux itself is events. Raw Redux API. Scroll events are not being helpful here. Oh my gosh. Render. It is using JSX. No, this is... Function counter, type of state, action.type, store equals create store, render, set a value. Function render, store.subscribe render, add event listener, store.dispatch. So using it directly would mean making a store object, getting all action events to dispatch on the store, and then subscribing to render. Which would be more of a React render than a React component style. So React Redux assumes all of this stuff. And this does not have a non npm or package manager. It's a different kind of use. You do not have a dist. Downloads. Public. React Redux. So they can import because they're in NPM land with Webpack. Which apparently adds the extra stuff to make that work. So this is assuming something else, some other module has created your store. Which gets us back to the Redux side of things. And this says you wrap a provider around app. Connect your component to the store. Action creators. So we define counter. We then export the connected version of that, which has mapping functions on front and map dispatch to props. Increment. Well, we need to know what counter looks like. Or does it like create events that do dispatch? A normalized reducer of to-dos by IDs. A list of all IDs. Simple string, all completed or incomplete. So that's two stores that are probably put together into one store. Add to-do toggle to-do set filter. There's a do-tos reducer. Need to make the store available to this app. So this is like index.js. To-do app from to-do app. Connecting the components. Add to do. Null add to do. Passing it to connect. A component receives it as a prompt. Automatically dispatch the event when it's called. Handle add to do. This dot props. Okay, call our dispatcher. And it still has its own internal state. This dot update input must be assumed to be defined here. So on change, and then button this dot handle add to do. Okay, so they set up a store as a separate module, which they have not talked about yet. Maybe this is like a React thing? Or a Redux thing? Okay. Redux. Okay, Redux, create store. Okay, so that's how that imports in this scenario. So we create store off of an update function. And we subscribe to events to do things. So the way they recommend doing this is have like a store.js. We get our implicit Redux create store. We have a function which I don't know what we're updating just yet. And based on typically action.type, we return a state. Well, this is a module now. Redux.createStore update. So that's the thing that at least exists. We'll have to figure out what we subscribe to. That samples page was pretty crazy. Oh my gosh. They've got this all broken out. So React DOM render, just passing down store values and on increment, on decrement, dispatching things. So that, yeah, this is no fancy React Redux. It's just re-rendering every time. And our reducer is just that. Rebinding functions. Increment f odd, increment async. On increment. Right, so those are the dispatcher functions, which go to events. Okay, so we have a store exists. They want us to say, this is rendering the app. We're doing create element app. They want us oh no, wait, that's Redux. Wait. So maybe store here is actually Redux store, and you could provide an alternate object. But we would have to, well, no, we can probably do redux.provider, right? In that case. Why does it not like that? Oh, that's just the wraparound point. Babel parse error. Okay. Let's see if we can break that down. Oh. Duh. Now, this doesn't give me any confirmation when it's successfully compiled. Oh. Type is invalid. Well, is there a provider? Oh, right, this is a React Redux. Which exposes itself as what? React Redux. Type is invalid. I don't know if it cares about this. No, it doesn't make any difference. Okay, it's not a parse error. Sport a JSX literal. What are you compiling as? React.createElementProvider. Store Redux. React.createElementApp. Maybe it's not. Oh, this is. I'm passing it to create element. This is probably just React.render. Although no, that's syntax though. We have to create. Yeah, create element. We're doubling up because we were originally doing an element here instead of JSX. Because it was just the app. Store is undefined. Okay, so it is not redux.store. We do in fact have to import store from store.js. I guess that Redux folder was just like Redux stuff. Okay. Okay, so to-do app is wrapped. Connecting components. Called every time the store state changes, or choose the entire store state to return an object of data this component needs. Called once on component creation, receive a dispatch as an argument and should return an object full of functions that use dispatch to dispatch actions. Each action creator will be turned into a prop function that automatically dispatches. We recommend using this object shorthand form. Dispatches its action when called. Normally an object full of action creators. Computed data from state and optionally own props. So this says that a counter would not have a counter state. It would have a counter prop, which is pushed down from the parent. And rather than listing out all of those properties inside the provider, which has the store, well, we have to observe the changes. Connect to store, connected component. Map state to props, map dispatch to props. Man, I almost feel like this would be easier as just straight up Redux and just re-engineer things around dispatching events and doing things as props rather than state. I'm sure React Redux developed out of abstracting out of the patterns they were seeing all the time. And like, oh, well, we're doing all of these things, we're doing all this passing of props. we're doing all of this mapping of, I guess, property functions that you can call to dispatch events. Redux actions. And then you've got your action types thing so that they're all in one place and everybody can reference. I didn't really say how they made those. That's more of a Redux thing. Actually, this is an example. But this one doesn't really have. Yeah, just type. So this one says we have a store, re-render every time things update. I sort of understand that. Redux actions, action types. So add to do is a constructor of this action. So they suggest having an actions and class add to do is a component, and then we connect it and we actually export that. So our actions for this would essentially be our set states. So it's going to be like set bitrate, set resolution, set frame rate, set bit per pixel, change target, post to chat, login. Well, login's a link. Basically all our sort of on events. So they recommend an action types. It's probably so you get some string checking. Next to do ID. Interesting place to manage an ID. So to use strict, we do export const set bitrate I guess it's going to be a bit rate. Is an object of type, which would be something like really whatever. And payload may be a convention. Because I could probably go... Well, it would allow you to always handle payloads of types. Indistinguishable. And then you would have set resolution. Set frame rate. Yeah, and then the chat bot might end up having some different things. Because I think it could possibly set multiple things at once. Set bits per pixel, bits per pixel, bit per pixel. All right, so the other recommendation is so this is just going to be like export const. Now, you could use symbols to make these super unique, but that would not look good when you're trying to debug your events. Frame rate. Bits per pixel, and I'm going to not worry about the chat thing right now. That's not even a state update, so then actions. Oh, and it's supposed to be actions. Import there's no good way to say star here. Because we really Okay, so we've got a function. Oh. So that's connecting directly with that. What does the component do? This dot props dot call a dispatcher when it is doing this stuff. So this would be like from Redux actions. So now, rather than passing down the function which reports its value, we dive all the way down to bitrate control. And tell it to directly dispatch a state update. That's a little bit less component-wise. So you've got a changed bitrate, which, so we actually could pass this down as a function. I don't know if that's going to work for all of them, though. And, well, it's Redux style. So it does all its internal parsing. It's a state. You have no state mapping. Well, that's not. Oh, right. The to-do to add is not like an internal application state. Map states to props. It's a list of all to-dos, right, which might be filtered based on things. Selectors. Store.todos. Get to-do list. By IDs. Oh, this is Redux selectors. Luckily we have it, I guess because we've defined it here. And then to-do list connects I guess you can leave the other argument blank. Do not subscribe, do not create action injectors. Yes, just leave it blank. Do not subscribe to the store. So this makes every component individually subscribe to the store and dispatch events to the store. I'm actually not entirely sure I like the React Redux style. But if we did that, we would want to import set bitrate from actions. And then instead of using our props, we would call set bitrate. Actually, where does that get connected on the component? Does it get put into this dot props? Yeah, so I had called these generically on change. So, maybe the first level of this is a bitrate calculator, which used to keep the state. It gets bound to have its state turned into props from the map. And then it gets all the actions, which become changed instead of... And I forgot about target. So we could convert this a little bit cleaner. Maybe. If we did it like this. Because then our names would match. And I forgot about change target. And these are still called set. And then action. Oh yeah, action type. Bitrate calculator. So change target has one little difference here. And that's directly retrieving a control value. So maybe I shouldn't have done that. Well, no, because this is binding directly into whatchamajiggy. Into the control. So these sort of do. Oh, this supposed to do its optimize. Well, optimize should actually be happening back in the reducer. Which we haven't even gotten to yet. It's a store thing. This, yeah, this, this dot props. There's not going to be a name collision. So actually making the names match didn't matter. Actions. We do need that. And we also need so bitrate calculator would, instead of doing this, do this dot props dot set bitrate. Set resolution. Set frame rate. Which actually, I guess you could do direct binding on these with this dot props. And then changed target is going to have to do e.target.value. So you are you default? You might as well be. React Redux .connect. We don't have this yet. Pretty much everything. Actions. And that's technically overkill. So that's just, there's that. And then all of the state turns into props. Which means I have to initialize my store somewhere. How do you initialize the store? Oh, that was render create store from counter. There is a default on the store. Okay. So that gives us a default state. So my initial state for this application would look a lot like bitrate calculator. And we need to import calculator, so we've got that. So we just do that. We do that. We do that. And I'm actually streaming at a higher resolution now, so it's a reasonable default. State equals initial state. There's probably some other stuff as well that, like app, yeah, has to get passed down. Although Redux might offer new ways of doing this, but this is going to be state. That would belong in our store. Well, actually, I guess username and channel is currently a prop. It's not anything that I'm currently changing. And you might be able to manage OAuth token internally as well, as you pretty much get it on page load. I might be able to leave that as a standard prop. We'll see. So then, bitrate calculator has to have... have they had one of these yet? Map state to props, map props to dispatch. Map state to props. So this is going to... I mean, it's pretty much just state at the current time. Because we're just kind of moving it up. But that is going to change it from state to props as far as... Oh. These were actually being passed down. This dot props dot username. This dot props dot channel. Maybe I was doing that for debugging purposes. So basically this dot state, this goes away. Oh. Store. So then you can't be const. We already got calc. These, we could maybe streamline that. And then this dot state. Target, bitrate, target, resolution, target, frame rate, target, bit per pixel, target. Compiler mad yet? Initial, no, I think I fixed that syntax error already. Loading failed. Yep, forgot the JS, which is what the actual browser loader needs. Do you have to be restarted to get individual files? Or do you not even compile JavaScript files? Yeah, there's an action types JS. Action type, once again, singular plural. Not found. Bitrate calculator in app.js. So maybe that I shouldn't make that a default. Export. Okay, so you can export as a name. But we would have to do it as okay, it doesn't like that. No syntax error. React Redux. Changed settings. Changed settings. Oh, unchanged settings. Oh, I was using that. I'm going to stub that one out for now. Well, something won't work, but it... Okay. It's not a parse error. Right. Our store is not able to evolve anything. So now we have to now I think the examples they gave of this are like we import all the symbols. And then you were, I guess I need to learn more about the import syntax. So switch action.type default lets us get our default value. And then case act.set bitrate now is where things get interesting. So we want to, we have to return actions in this one. Oh, yeah, it's going to return. This is not object.assign. This is probably more of a React's reducer complex example. This is actually pretty basic. Reducers. Text to text completed, do not completed. So they're returning a new object in that case. It's slightly obnoxious to do that with this big complicated state. No, I'm not. Sign is updating a property in place. Actually, it is a list of objects. So if we do object assign, we do a new object with state, and then the update of bitrate is bitrate. And at least having one thing update would be an improvement. Okay, did not like that. Okay, so we got our initial Redux init. And we got set bitrate. Oh, that's right, it's payload. Yeah, what the heck is this? Action.payload.bitrate. Actually, yes, payload could be the bitrate at that point. Okay, so that thing can now update itself. So bitrate, and this is where we get back to bitrate calculator. Optimize, which isn't even called here anymore. This is now, a store operation. Oops. It's probably in a register. Optimize. All right, so this is state, state.target. This does give me my update. So just another thing we're throwing in there. So actually, this looks more like assign previous state, this update, and optimize. Oh, nope. We have to do the thing like we did before. We have to let state 2 is state with this updated, which is somewhat reasonable to keep on one line. And then we have to return. And since state 2 is a new object, I'm not as worried about trying to kind of do immutably on it. Object assign S2. Optimize state. Optimize. No, S2. Okay, so that's one direction working again. And then we extrapolate this to all of our other updates. So set resolution. And I'm not sure I like payload. I haven't seen a reason for it yet. And that's going to be fine. Set frame rate. Actually, where this could make sense is if we just did because this resolves to payload. And then none of these are different. That was only updated. Okay, well, I mean, we're getting set frame rate, we're getting set resolution. We're getting a resolution. Oh, syntax error. So we're running the old code. Okay, so set target. Oh, that is a required. Wait. Didn't fully update this. This is a syntax error. That's an old syntax error. We bound all actions to it. Props.setTarget. Undefined type property. We compiled this. Okay, we compiled it. Actions may not have an undefined type. Action type. Yep. So, this whole business about defining symbols for this gave us no warnings about undefined symbols. Maybe if I'd attempted to import as an explicit name. Set BPP. Use a typo. Okay, so that is well, it ended up being kind of trivial because everything just comes down to calculator updates. And we could form it as an object update there. This is probably kind of a useful debugging thing. So that leaves our chatbot. Well, it's very intermediate conversion right now. However, I have an appointment later this afternoon, so I cannot push too far today. I want to get lunch, I want to get cleaned up, and make sure I get out in time. Partial conversion, cleanup, and chatbot. Okay, was I... Public star.js. I think I had explicitly added the libraries, though. React. Get status, get add. We're going to add that stuff. That's still probably formatted. Partial rough conversion to, well, this is React Redux. All right, and I need to get out of here. All right, stream over, off for next time. Thanks for watching. Don't have anything to recommend in the meantime. Oh, and a follow too. That's the schedule. I think I might have to just clean up that video. Scrunching me up. Anyway, Tuesdays and Thursdays are going to be off for the time being as I take care of stuff. So, if you're looking for someplace cool to hang out, Makings of a Hero is someplace cool to hang out. You're working on a MOBA RTS, not web dev, but cool place to hang out. Always talking through her code and being friendly. Yeah. Thanks for hanging out with me. Goodbye, and until next time.